Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast Away podcast. I am so excited to be here today with the worm queen. That's right, the worm queen, Miss Kim Rogers. Kim, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, and we have had the best pre-interview chat. I think we could probably talk for hours, and within 10 seconds, we're like, oh, we're besties because we both love to move constantly. I love change. I love moving. I'm currently in the process of moving. I was looking at different houses yesterday. My poor husband, we moved 12 times within our first 10 years of marriage. So if that tells you anything.
I think you've beat me, but not by much because we've moved a lot. Like I've lived in 8 states and I've moved 56 times.
Oh my goodness. You have beat me with the total number. I will say I slowed it down a little bit just kind of while I was having babies because I had, 5 babies fairly close together. And I think my husband was like, now I will say that being said, 2 of my moves were within 7 to 14 days of having a baby.
Oh my gosh, girl.
Yeah, I know. I know. Actually, one of them, so this is crazy, and then we're going to dive into the subject matter, but I lived in Ohio. My husband was at the Air Force Base up there. Less than 2 weeks after my second was born, I'm on like a 3-day maternity leave. I'm getting a little bored, twiddling my thumbs. Like, why don't I list my house? I list my house. 24 hours later, I have a guy call me. He goes, I really want to look at your house. I've looked at 40 other houses. I go, you're not looking at my house if you looked at 40 other houses. No, 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 I'm serious. Da, 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 da. I'm like, you're not even coming by. I'm like, you're going to have to pay me to look at my house if you looked at 40 other. No, he comes by, cash offer, handshake. Within 24 hours of listing, baby's less than 2 weeks old. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to have to move. I guess we're going to have to build a house now. So it was just, but that's how I roll. I love it. I sometimes create real estate chaos just because I've been running the same business for so long and I just need something to keep myself entertained.
Oh my God, I feel so normalized right now, Amanda. I
Yes.
feel so normal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I feel the same. I'm like, well, Rogers Hood is staying forever. I need to kind of move and shake somewhere in between there because we just get this itch and we just gotta like scratch it and keep
That's right.
going.
That's
Oh,
right.
I love looking at real estate. It's like real estate porn, you know. Like,
Oh my
what else
word.
can I look at?
I
Like
was I was
someone
doing
else
it
is like,
last
I'm
night.
moving. No problem. Can I help you out? What's your price range? What are
Oh
you
my
looking
God. So good. So good. Okay, so you are known as the worm queen, but we've got to go all the way back. I mean, we've got to hear the story on this. When and why and how did you become known as the worm queen? And we want to hear the whole story.
Okay. Well, I joke around. I didn't want to be known as the worm lady because that's not fun and sexy. That's like lady. People will say that and I correct them like exorcist style. I flip my head. I'm like, it's worm queen.
So funny.
I have merch around it. So I've got like mushrooms and then there's a worm with a crown on her head. And
So good.
oh, yeah. I mean, we're talking about some things that are real gross. And people need to do it with a smile and they need to laugh because it really is of importance to understand the concept behind why and we all somewhat have parasites and what this looks like for us, but like you can't do it with just showing poo all day. Like you literally have to do something to like make everyone understand that this is just another layer of healing your body and protecting and being proactive.
Yeah.
So I had to be the worm queen. I needed a crown.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. In the pre-interview chat, we were talking a little bit about your experience with parasites, with mold as well, which I really want to dive into. My listeners and my clients know I've been dealing just with horrendous mold issues, but share the personal journey. Like just I mean, go there, dive in as much detail as you want to share because it was a tough one. But out
Yeah.
of your pain came a purpose, and that purpose has grown into a flourishing company, which I'm so excited about and proud for you regarding. But just take us all the way to the valley, and then hopefully back out.
Okay. So I come from Western medicine. I started around 20 years ago in 2004. I have two healthcare degrees. I was valedictorian in both of those degrees because I'm a nerd and I just love to learn. I worked in the field for a few years. I was a medical specialist. So I worked in neurology and endocrinology. And then I dabbled in family care. It just wasn't my jam. I did x ray. I worked in a hospital. So I've been in the field. And then I left the field to be a professor, and I ran 25 healthcare colleges. I wrote their curriculum, and I also authored multiple books with large publishing companies for medicine, as well as like electronic medical records. Anything that I could get my hands on, I was doing it. I
Wow.
just really enjoy the body and I really enjoy teaching. So it wasn't a surprise when I went viral in 2021 and kind of ran with it. But in 2019, my health really declined rapidly, and I was not in good shape. I had had 13 surgeries and a hysterectomy when I was 29. I don't have children, and I didn't have children. So they didn't really know what else to do with my body due to the endometriosis, and I just kept declining. So my husband and I picked up our lives. He quit his job and I quit my job, and we sold all of our belongings and we moved out to a piece of recreational property we had purchased a year or two before, that we were going to build a log home eventually on. And we started planning to build. So we got out there in order for my husband to not have a mortgage and debt. I really didn't want to leave him with all of that. And it's very expensive to be chronically ill. You don't get anything handed to you because you're sick.
Mm.
So I didn't really want to leave him high and dry. So we got out there and we were in the rainforest and we started learning how to grow mushrooms, and we were really getting our plans together for the log home, and I was just not doing good. I
Mm.
still was at a level where I couldn't see an end that was a good end for us.
Mm.
So about a year and a half in, and at this point, I've done quite a few mushrooms functionally. He learned to grow them. We've kind of dabbled into the log home. We've had our logs delivered, and I still wasn't where I wanted to be, but I was better. Like I wasn't circling the drain anymore, is what I felt like. So I was scrolling on TikTok, and I had a TikTok account. It was very small, around 10,000 followers, to teach people how to grow mushrooms and build. I was showing my log home build, and I came across a gal's TikTok that said, I almost unalive myself over worms. And it just
Mm.
made me stop. And I was like, okay, so a few years ago, I thought I had worms, and I had said something to my doctors, and they all looked at me and said, that's impossible. You haven't been out of the country in a while. This is a first world country, all the gaslighting things.
Yep.
So I didn't really think anything of it. And I just kind of kept on with my normal day. Well, this video made me stop. I purchased the tincture that she had put on her video, and I did it. And within 3 days, I saw roundworms, flukes, and pinworms in the toilet, and I didn't even have to dig. They were just hanging out at the top.
Oh my gosh.
And I knew right then the pain that I had had on my right side for years, and it was an indication that I needed to have surgery. And I was having surgery every 2 years for 20 years.
No.
Yeah, they just couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So they would just go in, they would cut, it would make me feel better. And then I would just continue, right? I mean, I just kept going into the vicious cycle, getting on medications, and I was on Klonopin for 22 years. And all of the things that I talk about now were all the things that I had to figure out not to do anymore. So as soon as that happened, just this light bulb went off, and this vision that I had just changed of what my life was and what it needed to be. So I grabbed my phone and I made a video, and it was 60 seconds. And as soon as I hit post, within 2 hours, 1 million people watched that video.
Oh my goodness.
I know I have goosebumps. 10.6 million have watched it today, as of today, and that was 4 years ago.
Wow.
And 40 to 50 million people used to watch my account a month.
Wow. That's
I've since been
insane.
since starting a business, I've been censored because, I
Yep.
mean, it's
Yep.
and I'm okay with it, but it really was eye-opening. So I made multiple videos that day, like 10 or something, and I have done this every day since. I started a business over it. But in the meantime, when all of this was going on, I was labeled Worm Queen. I was crowned by my community over there because I said, "You
So
guys,
cute.
I cannot be named Worm Lady." Like, I see it in the comments. Like, we need to fix this. I cannot be Worm Lady. So I just really feel like this is my purpose. Like,
Yeah.
this is why I'm here on earth. This is why I had to go through everything I went through in my life. I'm 46 years old. And I know this is what I'm here to do. I'm here to help others heal their bodies from root causes that are environmental toxins like parasites, mold, and Lyme. And I'm using my purpose to do that because it's important for us to understand. And I've come from the medical field and I didn't understand. And I didn't think this was a thing. And I wrote curriculum that I even remember looking back, like, this isn't a thing. Like, let's just quickly talk about it and move on. Let's brush over it. I helped train lab technicians who also get only like 3 minutes to look at your stool. So I really took my past and I brought it right into my present to make it better for everyone's future. And so now we have over 1 million followers. We have a 10,000 square foot manufacturing facility we built ourselves in Jonesboro, Arkansas, that we make our own products in. And I
Wow.
have over 30 employees, and I've done it since 2021.
Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Of course, I love the business side
Oh,
and
yeah.
hearing of your success, being an agency owner and only working with women in wellness a decade ago and now having Faster Way. And, my real purpose is to eradicate poverty for women in wellness. I think it's the most important way to solve problems in the world, and helping someone like yourself spread the word about your own purpose and mission. But we got to dive into the parasites. Okay, so I am a total and utter beginner. I know nothing. Just for the listeners, I did purchase your mold detox kit. We're going to talk a little bit about my journey with that so far, but I've never done a parasite cleanse or detox. I have heard this phrase that if you have a pulse, you have a parasite. You might not have agreed with that 20 years ago, but is that something that you agree with now?
I say 95%. I feel like 95% of us have a parasite because we've eaten fish, we've gone in fresh water, we've walked barefoot, we have pets. I had the same parasite as my dog. And I do know what parasites I have, and I do know where I got them. The ones that made me this ill was from our water. Our water was
Mm.
contaminated out at our land that we were building our log home. So it really is important for people to know that. So you've been exposed to water. If you've gone out of the country, and just because you come back from going out of the country and you don't feel yucky, but 2 months later you might, it's possible that you caught a parasite in Mexico or wherever you were, right? And so it really is important to just know that you might not have just caught it yesterday, but it could have sat down deep inside. And I know when mine started to erupt, like in 2016, I had a terrible year. It was the worst year of my life. And that's when I started to decline the fast, right?
Mm.
So all of these things play a part in that. But I do believe that 95% of us, and we don't have good, accurate, affordable, available testing, which I'm working on changing that with Congress actually. So in my opinion, I believe that 95.
Wow. And should all of us go ahead and do a cleanse? And if so, how often should we be doing this? And talk me through the process. Like, I am not going to really want to look in the toilet, but I think maybe I should. So is it like everybody listening, we need to buy your kit? Is that the case?
Yes, 3 to
Wow.
4 times a year we should be doing this.
Wow.
Being proactive. I do it when I've traveled, because I travel a lot every other week sometimes, when I'm out and about eating raw produce, which I rarely do anymore, but I do miss salmon and I used to eat a lot of sushi.
Yep.
So you can do this and not know if you for sure have a parasite. You don't have to test. It's so gentle and it's so effective. And you might not see anything, like they might just get obliterated from the cleanse. And so you may never see anything. And you may never see anything if you're just a looker and a flusher. So there's three types of cleansers. There's a looker, a flusher, and a digger. And so the diggers are definitely great for business because they send us pictures all day long.
Oh my
And
gosh,
it's wild what they
so
come out with. I mean, some
funny.
of the stuff we get, because I'm all day long, I'm opening up pictures and I'm like, oh, okay, that is a roundworm. You have a tapeworm. Yeah, it's pretty
So
wild.
funny. Okay, what are the
But yes,
symptoms
everyone
that
should do it.
we should be looking for? So symptoms that, and I'm going to tell you the symptoms I have from what I believe is the mold allergies and toxicity, but is, just can you kind of describe to me, because you mentioned you had pain on your side, what other symptoms should we be looking for to know, like, not only, I mean, we're all going to do it, I'm going to do it, but like, when is it dire of like, I'm not going to even wait for 2 months, I need to do it now?
Yeah. Now you've done the Moldies kit, right?
I'm
And we'll
in
talk about that.
week two and
You're
a
in it.
half. Week two and
Okay,
a half.
cool. So normally we say do Parify first. So you want to get rid of parasites first. But now that I know, I can, like, while we're talking, I can think of what your protocol should be, because parasites hold on to spores. And when you've been exposed to mold, they'll hang on to those spores. So you're going to remove spores and you may see some parasites just because you've disrupted them. And a lot of my herbs and the tinctures are disruptors to them. And so you may see some, you may not, but then you'll want to pivot to Parify and I'll get you all taken care of and fixed up. So we've got that. But
Can't
it's good
wait.
to know that you're in week 2. So then I kind of know where you're at with it. But with parasites, that some of the symptoms specifically that are common are grinding your teeth. That's a big one that not a lot of people know about. They think that's stress, but parasites hijack your nervous system and your lymphatic system, and they put their own frequency into it. And so your body doesn't really know what to do with that environmental toxin frequency. And so it just automatically starts alerting you by grinding your teeth.
Okay, let me ask you this. So I do grind my teeth and I wear a mouth guard. My 4-year old slept in my bed. We were at a client event in Dallas over the weekend. So I had 2 of the 3 kids in the bed with me, the dog. I have never in my life heard someone grind their teeth like she did, and she's never done that before. It sounded like a machine. I was like, what is this machine in the hotel? I mean, it was so loud. Do you think that even in children that can be a sign?
100% it's in children. That is the number. Between that and behavioral issues are the two ways to know if your child has picked up a parasite, specifically pinworm and roundworm. And then it just grinds at them. And the only way their little bodies know how to handle it is grinding their teeth and acting out and having some skin issues. A lot of kids that end up having bumps on their arms is the way that
Mm.
the parasites are coming out of the body because it doesn't know another way to come out. So those are huge indications that your child has a parasite.
Oh my gosh. And I'm going to do the parasite cleanse. Should I be sure that all the kids do it at the same time?
Yeah, we'll make sure that you have everything you need for your whole family to parasite cleanse at the same time, because
Got
it's
it.
for ages 3 and up. So you
Perfect.
should put them in this cycle ages 3 and up, and then they won't think anything of it. As they get older, they'll just actually start to feel better and ask for it. They'll be like, "Oh my
Mm.
god, you remember when I started to feel this way?" Specifically if you are around mold,
Yes.
and the combination of the two can then create even more chronic illness in their bodies. And even if they're the most active, healthiest child, just having those two environmental toxins in their life on a daily is
Yeah.
really detrimental to their immune system.
Right,
So
right.
yep. So yes, you want to do it 3 to 4 times a year with your children and your family, and especially you have a dog, because dogs are the number one way to get a parasite, because we let them lick us and play with us and sleep
Always.
with us. And
Yep.
So it's really, don't get rid of your dogs, people. Just be conscientious about deworming your dog and
Yeah.
deworming yourself, because that's really what this is. It's just a matter of the knowledge and doing it yourself, because there isn't anyone out here that's going to tell you, oh, you dewormed your dog. Well, you should be deworming yourself at the same time. You all
Yes.
have the same microbiome, including your animals.
Wow. And of course we wouldn't get rid of the dog. He is a child to me.
Oh, for sure. We had
He's one
three dogs. Yeah, and
he's
I had
one of
my dog's worms. So I know
Yeah.
that it's so easy to catch worms from the animals, you know?
Wow. Wow. Okay, so the whole family's going to do it. Grinding of the teeth, red bumps on the arms. That is so interesting. What else should we be looking for?
Drooling, which is kind of a shocking one that I found out this year, actually. Drooling is a big one. And again, it's your body trying to push things
Wow.
out of the body, you know, because it's an exit point. So IBS, IBD, so gut issues, but they're not just in our gut, they're in our blood, our tissue, and our muscle. They absorb
Mm,
within our entire body. They can pass, certain worms can pass the blood brain barrier in your brain. So there are seizures, is one. But, you know, the most common are craving different foods, specifically sugar and salt, eating after 7 p.m. because they're nocturnal creatures. So they get up at 7 when you're like trying to wind down. That's their morning. And then they're up all night, keeping you up all night. So itchy butt during the full moon, that's a big one. If all of a
mm.
sudden, I always tell people go eat some ice cream. And if all of a sudden you're just like wired and itchy, you have a parasite. Flares during the full moon is a big one. I had a lot of flares. I was actually calculating my flares at the beginning of the year that I did my first cleanse. And I'm like, gosh, it's just syncing up with the full moon. You know, everything was pointing the direction for me. You have worms, you have parasites, Kim. And so, what else is there? There's just unexplained behavioral changes,
Mm,
extreme anxiety, extreme depression, feeling unworthiness. Mine specifically, I have a feeling of unworthiness when it's time for me to cleanse because I have small intestinal parasites, and that's where that
mm.
emotion stems from, is in your lower intestine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mostly all of our chronically ill people's symptoms, you know, and a lot of society here in Western medicine's symptoms are very similar to a parasite, and none of us have ever cleansed. Where other countries know, and then they'll hop on and take a synthetic, or they'll do a cleanse, like Jamaica does a tea called the Bush every month to keep on top of it. They actually talk down to you as you're, if you don't do it in their society. So, you know, we're just a little behind in this. We're just a little not really knowing that this was something that we should be doing. And now that we're all kind of doing it, and I've been real loud about it, I just see such an improvement for people's health around me.
Wow. We are so behind. And it's similar to my perspective on nutrition when it comes to a Western medical doctor. And, you know, it's not their fault. They were given certain tools, and the tools didn't include education surrounding nutrition and anti inflammatory and blah, blah, blah. But I'm convinced. So obviously, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with my whole family. Everyone listening, Faster Way, we'll have to like all tag you when we're doing our. We're not going to send you I'm not going to send you photos. Please don't send me photos if you're a Faster Way client who's doing this. Okay, so talk me through the process a little bit. Do I need to time this with the full moon? When am I doing it? Like, is it 4 doses a day? How does it look?
Well, I do say that if you want to be most effective, you would want to do it 3 days prior to the full moon.
Okay.
And there's a French folklore that when I fell into all of this, this wasn't like I woke up one day and, well, this is it. But I love to research, and it's amazing. And so I fell into the French folklores, and they have a thing with schistomiacin, which is from snails, and they eat a lot of snails. So they say to start 3 days prior to the full moon because they start to dislodge themselves, and then they hop on the serotonin highway of river, which
Oof.
is why the full moon is a thing, because your serotonin runs higher, your melatonin runs lower, and they eat your serotonin. So then they're just able to kind of migrate more into your body, get themselves some water property hanging out on the side of the serotonin river, and then you can get more of them. That's why they say the full moon. Now, if you're just wanting to start, just start. But
Got it.
that's why they say the full moon, because there's more activity with them. And that's also why people are a little crazy during the full moon,
Right.
because their worms are actually eating their serotonin, which is the hormone that calms you down and makes you happy.
Right.
And so here you got all these people wild. It's because they legit have something going on inside of their body and they can't really control it. In the ER, it was always, oh God, it's the full moon. What's going to happen now? So it's
Totally.
a legit thing.
I believe it. I don't sleep as well, so I have had insomnia since I was in high school, but now I'm like thinking maybe the worms are part of it. But I never sleep as well when the full moon is coming. So maybe the parasites are just more active. And so many of the things that you are saying, like it makes complete sense to me. I like it and I'm a lover of functional medicine and alternative medicine. So like everything you're saying right now makes sense. And specifically as I'm going through my own mold journey, and then like things are kind of like, oh, the kids, I'm like, oh yeah, that kid, he drools a lot. And this one with the grinding, that like, it's all kind of, I'm putting the pieces together. So I'm going to myself probably just start because I think it was a full moon when I was in Costa Rica this last time. So it would
It was
maybe
just
be
a few
like,
days ago.
yeah. Yeah. So it'd be like a little, so I'm just going to start when I get it. How long of a cleanse is it?
Well, I'll go over exactly. It's so easy. I
Yay.
made it super simple because I needed my husband to cleanse and he doesn't have a lot of time when he was building. So it's 3 tinctures. You take it 3 times a day, 15 drops each at the same time, and you bind at night. And that
Great.
is it.
Easy.
That's it. It's so simple. It doesn't matter. We really prefer you to take it before you eat just to get it on an empty stomach, but it's a tincture, so it's absorbing immediately. I'm not a big fan of anti-parasitic pills because it has to get in your gut and they can steal 90% of your nutrients. So I don't really want to have to mess with that. So the tinctures get right into your bloodstream. They're readily available. They're just right there. And we make them ourselves. They are an alcohol-based tincture, but you can put them in water if you want to dissipate that alcohol. You can put them in warm water. You can put it in juice or tea for children. And then you can also open up the binder because it's just a capsule, and you can add the binder into applesauce
Great.
if a child has a hard time taking a pill, and it's a cinnamon charcoal. So it tastes good and it'll just
Oh,
turn the sauce black, but because it has Ceylon cinnamon and coconut activated charcoal in it.
yep.
And that's it. It's 30 days. You start with 30 days, and we give you enough product. If you want to go longer, you can. We give you around 40 to 45 days. And we do that because you can do your 30 days. Then you can take a break. And then over the full moon, you can do 2 mini cleanses in
Mm,
between your every 3 months. So you have enough. You can keep going past the 40 to 45 days. If you want to keep going, you can. You just take a 7-day break in between, let the eggs hatch, and then you come back in and you sweep them out. But if you have mold, I'm gonna say you have parasites.
yep.
They go hand in hand.
Yep.
It's just a thing. I don't know why these two environmental toxins go hand in hand, but they do, and they love each other. And when you move one out, so you're cleaning the mold out, the other one is going to potentially take over. So then you want to switch.
Yeah.
So I cleansed. And then when my body was like, okay, the parasites have evacuated to the best of their ability, then the mold came in and took over my body. And my eyes swelled shut and I lost half my hair. And I was
No.
on camera. I had just started I just started Rogers Hood,
Ugh.
and I was a content creator talking about parasites, and my eyes were swollen shut
Oh my
some days.
gosh.
So I do know a lot about how they coincide together and live together and they party together and they have fun together. And so when you take one out, the other one thrives more because they're no longer sharing that space in your body anymore. So
Oh
I just want to
my
prepare
gosh.
you as it's going on. And my best friend and my co-host to my podcast, What's Eating You, she is the most fit person I know. And she has blown hundreds out her nose of parasites.
What?
That's her exit point. Yeah,
No.
Sam Bruno. We talk about her all the time. Sam Bruno.
Oh my
And
word.
when it started, she's a pop star, so she's a pop artist, and so she's like, it wasn't sexy, and I'm like, well, at least they're out.
Yeah, girl,
Yeah,
much better
so
out than in. This is
totally.
just so interesting. I feel like I'm just putting all these pieces together, even when you just said about the mold in your eyes. So I just did a podcast yesterday with one of my pro trainers here. We call it a coach confessional. And she was asking me about how the mold detox is going. And I said, Lee, it is nuts. When I go to Costa Rica, where I'm not allergic to that mold, my eyes look amazing. And I said, they're open, they're not puffy. I said, the minute I land in Florida, my throat is scratchy, my eyes are puffy. Like even now, I could just feel them. Like it's just like harder to open them. And they look, I'm doing, BPC 157, a few things for inflammation, but like the difference, I sent a picture to my best friend when I landed here because she was like, oh my God, like I can totally see the difference. And so the fact that you even said that. So let me share just a little bit about my journey with the mold. So I was seemingly good when I initially moved to Florida. Built a house, new house, not too many issues. But then when I moved to my current town, I moved into the oldest house I'd ever lived in. And again, I moved 11 times in, 10 years. So it was many moves. But it's like, I think now, hindsight's 2020, like you could smell the mold. Like you could just smell it, and then, and I also had a lot of oak around me and different things, and then moved to another old house and then to another old house. And I think over time, my body was like, probably the parasites are kicking up because now I'm like traveling a lot in other country. B, I'm just exposed so much more to this mold just all day, all the time. And so recently I did a test with my concierge doctor and I ended up going to a traditional allergist, which I don't know what you think about that, but she did the whole like 30 different pricks on your back and 30 on your triceps, and she came back in and I'm like so itchy, I'm like dying. And she comes in, she goes, "You're officially allergic to Florida," is what she said. She goes, "You're highly allergic to this mold." And for 2 weeks I had these marks. They didn't even go away. I mean, it was like itchy, and she's like, and I go, "But there's mold in Costa Rica. Why do I feel completely and utterly different and better there?" She goes, "It's a different mold. You're not allergic to that mold. And you aren't having leftover food when you're there because you have a chef who cooks every day fresh and you're not doing this and the histamine response and da, da." So anyways, I now have been on my own because, the only trick she had up her sleeve was allergy shots. And I'm like, well, I'm getting sick every 3 days, so I don't really want to do the allergy shots. I mean, maybe I should, but so I found you through a friend of mine, and now I'm trying the mold detox. So that's, I mean, but I felt good when I was doing it in Costa Rica because I always feel good there. And now that I'm back in Florida, it's like, even as we're talking, I have a headache, my nose is runny, I have a tissue in my pocket. I'm like a 75-year-old man, with always have a tissue in my pocket. I'm like, anyone need a tissue? Like, it's just so discouraging. So I'm week 2. I had what I was calling the mold detox uglies for a few days, which was just, I've never in my life broken out. My entire forehead was broken out, a little bit on my cheeks. I'm like, never had that happen before. And now kind of things are stabilized, but I'm just still, congested and I'm just tired and my headache and all that. So that's my story.
That's pretty typical when you're around a mold.
Yep.
that you are allergic to because it's poisoned you. And so people don't realize that once it's been a toxin in your body is like, stop exposing me. And the best way I can explain this to people is that when you move to like Arizona and you get valley fever, you can never live there again. You can never live in Arizona again because your body is rejecting the valley fever. Your body. And I almost sold our log home because of the fact that we were poisoned by the air in Hoodsport with that particular mold. It's a specific mold in that area. And so we just know we can't ever go there in this one time frame a year. And we can never do yard work there, period.
Oh.
Because it just picks that green mold up. It's
Yep.
cladosporidium mold.
Yep.
It just picks it up. So what I recommend for you is I recommend you getting this one test through a company called gotmold.com.
Okay.
And it allows you to test your outside air. Then you come inside and you test 3 rooms in your house, your most commonly used rooms.
Yep.
And then it gives you what your air looks like. So you'll know exactly what you're allergic to. You'll know exactly which mold you're allergic to in Florida because you're going to go outside and test the air and then go inside and test your air and see, do I need more air doctors in this room? Do I need to never open the windows in this room? Is there a time of year that I should just stay inside and not do anything? Is there a way that I can calm that down? And that's really, if you want to live in Florida, that's really what it's going to look like. My husband and I won't live in Florida for this exact reason, even though we love Florida.
Oh.
So moldy there, and there is a specific mold that's in the air. And so you'll be able to find that out, and then you'll know I'm allergic to this mold. And you'll have more information to be armed with than just going in and out and not knowing exactly what's going on.
And I think it's 3 different molds because when she tested me, the allergy shots had 3 different molds. One was with the C. And the thing is, when I'm outside my house, I can see on my pool deck, because it's a porous pool deck, the green mold will come up in this one area, and then we power wash it. And then 2 weeks later, it comes all up again. And then there's like a black colored mold on the other side of the pool deck. And then we power wash, and then it comes back. But then inside, this is wild. Yesterday, without any solicitation, my chef in Florida, she goes to me, I don't want to be annoying or anything. I'm like, no, whatever you got to say, just say it. Shoot straight. She goes, I don't want to be annoying. I think you might have mold in your house. I go, why you say that? She goes, when I'm here, I have to take extra allergy meds. My eyes are watering when I'm using your sink, washing the dishes. She's like, she has no idea that I'm dealing with mold issues. And she says this to me. Wow. Which is why I was looking for houses last night. Get me out of here.
Totally.
Like, oh my gosh. Unbelievable. Wake up this morning, my throat is scratchy. I told my girlfriends when I came back into town from Costa Rica and Texas, I go, I'll be sick by Wednesday. I'll be sick.
You have mold in your house.
It stinks.
There's no way around it. You have mold in your house, Amanda. They're just... So if your children are peeing all night long, if you're peeing all night long, if they pee the bed, if they're having behavioral issues, if they're having rashes, if you've lost hair, if you're not hungry, if you have brain fog, if you have unexplained rashes on your face, all of these things. And the reason why a lot of mold people are afraid for you to do a mold cleanse is you don't know that you have mold, and now you're suppressing it. Actually, a mold cleanse and a parasite cleanse. When you take the Parasite kit, you're going to feel the best you ever felt because wormwood is going to suppress the spores that you're breathing in. And so there's a fear for people to do a parasite cleanse if you think you might be living in mold, because you won't know. It's going to suppress it. It's going to boost your immune system, allow you to feel better, allow your body to kind of get back to normal homeostasis, but you're still breathing in that toxic mold. And so that's the problem with when you do a parasite cleanse with Parasite versus not, and you're living in it. So there's a fear that if you don't know you're living in it, or you just have, like, I had no idea I was living in mold in my travel trailer until I stopped the parasite cleanse. But then I realized why I did that is because wormwood is a suppressor of spores. But it's a good thing for you because it's going to suppress those spores, and it's not going to allow them to keep colonizing in your body. If you were to cut yourself in half and open yourself up, you look like the walls. The inside of your body is colonizing that mold just like the walls. And so you got to suppress that down. So when you finish the moldies kit, I'll make sure your parasite kit is there. I
Great.
want you to jump right on the parasite kit. I want you to suppress the mold in order for your body to kind of get yourself back to normal. And then we're going to shock and awe, or we're going to go back in and we're going to mold cleanse you again. You're going to do back to back, you and your
Got it.
family. And that's because of the fact that you're rotating. Your spores are inside of the parasites. They can hold 6 to 8 times their weight in spores, bacteria, and heavy metals. And that's why I added a heavy metal detox into the parasite kit, is because the heavy metals weight them down. And as soon as you release those heavy metals, they're out to, free balling it everywhere. And so you got to sweep those parasites out with the heavy metals. And then you're removing spores right now out of their bodies, and you're kind of removing them a little bit. I added a couple anti-parasitics inside of the moldies kit,
Yeah.
but nothing like straight parafy. So you're going to just be a fine dance until you can get yourself feeling better. And all your symptoms, because you are working with mold, you're going to want to watch your skin. That's going to be a big thing for you because of you're in the mold.
Yeah.
And I had done the same thing, right? I did this dance. I did parasites and then mold, and then mold is so intense. So my suggestion for you is a lot of red light.
Yep.
If you can find yourself some methylene blue, if you can handle methylene blue,
Yep.
red light and methylene blue, you do a little methylene blue, and then you do red light right after you take the methylene blue to open up the methylene blue. It activates it, because mold is damaging your mitochondria and not allowing you to have the ATP. And so moldies, all it's doing is breaking down your cholesterol, because that's where it lives. So if you have a crazy weird LDL that's like high, and you're like, why do I have a high good cholesterol? Because you have mold and it lives inside of that cholesterol. And then you're going to break that down. That's what moldies is doing. It's breaking down that cholesterol. It lives in it because it's like a sticky mucus biofilm for mold spores.
Yep.
So you're breaking that down. And so you're going to finish moldies. You're going to feel a little bit better. You can increase immune and recover to 3 times a day while you're taking it with moldies.
Okay.
As long as you're pooping, keep binding while you're in the mold. Mold and binders are like the most important. That really is a huge thing. So lots of red light, lots of M blue if you can. HBOT. Oh, HBOT, because it crushes the spores.
Ooh.
It's 100 to 600% oxygen that you're in. And then NAD. Anything you can do to boost your mitochondria, it pushes the spores out of your cells. It does not allow it to continue to colonate. And these are all the things you do while you're living in the mold. Until you can get yourself out of the mold, then these are the things you want to keep doing. Then the next thing, since you and I love to move around, the first thing I do before making a decision on a house is I make sure I test my air with got mold, and I do it every 6 months. Just like I test my water, and that's how I found out I had worms in my water. Is my water went to Mexico and got tested. And in Seattle, their water has parasites in it too. Oh yeah, I drag Seattle on my podcast on a daily, because they just don't care. And our country does not test our water for nematodes. They only test our water for parasites like Giardia, D. fragilis, and crypto.
Yep.
And I had crypto, and my husband had D. fragilis. So we had waterborne, and roundworm was in our water.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Water in Washington. The whole state of Washington has physical worms in it, in my opinion. But Seattle is preferred. But these are things that you can integrate easily into your life, specifically testing your air. Because going forward, Amanda, you are allergic to all mold. And anytime you go and get exposed, there's going to be a time frame in the next year to 2 years that it's going to be a sensitivity, and you're going to have a reaction, and you're going to get inflamed, and you're going to kind of spiral. And you just need to know, I was exposed to mold. This is what it looks like. My body is reacting in the way it's supposed to because it's protecting me, but I need to get out. Now, I am 3 years past my mold. And last week, we were all exposed to mold in Santa Barbara in an 1885-year-old house.
Yep.
Beautiful home on the beach. And I and Jeremy walked in and we were like, there's mold in this house.
Oh.
What should we do? And there was 7 of us. So it would have been a big move for us to leave this Airbnb.
Totally.
And so we kind of toughed it out, but I saw my team, because we were there shooting our podcast, where our podcast is a traveling podcast.
Love it.
So we were sitting there and I saw my team struggling, and I'm like, oh, they are not doing good. They're not doing good because we're exposed to this mold. So, and anytime me and Jeremy are exposed to mold now, we just know. And so that's what's going to be great about the exposure that you've had. You are going to be the mold detective now. We walk in, we were at Four Seasons in Austin, and it had mold. And we knew immediately because we weren't hungry. We started arguing. So there's 3 things. There's mold rage, there's a mold hold, and there's mold fog.
Yeah.
Mold rage is you're fighting over bullshit all day long, and you don't know why. Everybody is all on edge. That's mold rage.
I definitely have mold in my office then. I actually legitimately think I do. Ask all the middle-aged men who work for me. There's some mold in my office. It's got mold.
Some days they're like, is Kim in the moldy office? Like, it's hard to do what we're doing. It's hard.
Actually, legitimately, truly, after the hurricanes especially, and even one of my employees will say, she'll mention kind of the mold in the office, but then after the hurricanes last year, we had 2 back-to-back, and we had leaks, and it was bad, and the air, the power went out. So I'm going to get that kit, gotmold.com. So you said mold rage, mold hold.
A mold hold, which is where you don't think you have the mold that bad. My husband had a mold hold, and I actually pulled all of our furniture away from the wall, and I said, Jeremy, this is killing us. We need to leave. I'm not coming back into this trailer. I will go stay in a hotel. I will camp. I will pitch a tent before I come back into this trailer. This trailer's killing us. We need to go, and we need to go right now. And he just kind of looked at me and he's like, it's not that bad. I'm like, listen, I'm leaving. I would love for you to come with me, but I'm not risking my life anymore for this log home build. We've already been through so much with parasites. We just got to go. And he was like, oh, okay, well, I'll come back. I'm like, not without a respirator. This is killing us. And so that's a mold hold. And then I just realized a mold fog when I was around my team last week. I'm like, oh my God, they're in a daze.
Yeah.
We're going to order food. And I said, well, what do you guys want? And they stared at me like zombies. And I was kind of getting frustrated. I said, what is going, come on, you guys. I have 5,000 things to do. Let's go. Come on. And then I looked at him and I'm like, oh, yeah, mold fog.
Wow.
Instead of brain fog.
I believe it. Yeah. Yeah. And I've experienced that brain fog. But again, when I go to Costa Rica, when I'm out of Florida, it's night and day. It's absolutely not. I'm I can't even explain it. You would have to feel it. It's 180-degree difference.
I had to leave my log home, and I live in Seattle now, downtown, in a skyscraper, in a brand new skyscraper that just opened. We're the first ones in here. But last year we moved to another skyscraper downtown Seattle. And that's what I told you at the beginning of this call, that I am a totally healed person in the last year. It's because I had to move out of my log home environment.
Wow.
And we cannot go there during specific times of year because that green mold tried to off us.
Yeah.
So there is a connection and a correlation, and this is my life's purpose, is to teach people these environmental toxins are a real problem, and that we all have an epidemic of environmental toxin poisoning. And so the moment we all realize that we're cleansing to give our bodies a fighting chance in these environmental toxins that we can't control, you can't control it. You can move, but then if you have a leak and you don't properly clean that leak, and that's the next thing I want to give you a tip on, is that you never want to use bleach. And I'm sure you probably know this, but you never want to use bleach. Vinegar and peroxide, not together, but vinegar and peroxide are going to be your best friend. Now, there's 3 different types of mycotoxin killer that you can get. One of them is called Boracare, and I really recommend, because you like to build, that you spray everything with Boracare. Now, you could buy a brand new house, Amanda, and if that sat outside and got wet, the way that they do protocols now for construction is it has to be airtight. And all that is a disaster for us mold people, because there's no ventilation when they're building anymore. They've tightened down these houses, so there's no escape. And then at the end, they do a blow test. And in that blow test, it shows that, in fact, there's no air that escapes, which is just a disaster for mold. It's like the mold just thrives in that, and it's a disaster for us. So I recommend that when you have the opportunity to build yourself or to have control over the build, you have them spray everything with Boracare.
Got it.
It will keep it from growing if it is left out. And then it'll also keep it if you have a leak. So after all this happened to us with our log home and living on that property with mold, we had a leak. But that leak in our toilet didn't damage our log home. And it was like 3 weeks after we just moved out of it to finish it. And nothing happened because we had Boracare.
Got it.
So Boracare on everything just stopped the mold. But going forward, I definitely suggest spraying everything down with vinegar or everything down with peroxide. And offline, I'll get it. You can put it in your show notes. There's another thing my husband and I use, and I can't remember the name of it, but we just did it at his mom's house because his mom had a leak and had she had like the most mold I've ever seen on gotmold.com's test.
My gosh.
So we the word R that starts with an R. We cleaned it all up. We cut it all out and came back 0. So what we used works. She wiped everything down her walls with the peroxide. Unfortunately, when you have mold like you have in your house, a lot of times you won't get to keep your stuff. And so that's kind of a fear for people when they find out that they have mold, because you'll carry spores from place to place and they just will colonize. So it really is important to get it under control, and it's really important to keep cleansing out your body. And you're going to do this the rest of your life now, because active mold is hard to get rid of. I have 11 active molds in my body. I know I was born into mold. Because of this journey, I found out what's wrong with my mom. She's been chronically ill my whole life. We have the same mold. We have the same exact mold. And I found out we got it in Vandenberg when my dad was on there for base, because my dad was military and we lived on base. And so I was born into the mold.
Wow.
And so it is easy to pass to your child in the womb, and you're breathing it, right? And then your child comes into the world and they have it. And so now that we all know about these environmental toxins, we just need to be proactive and cleanse our bodies and keep our areas clean.
Oh my goodness. I feel like this was a personal therapy session for me as well. Did you see me taking notes the whole time? Oh my gosh. Okay, Kim, where can we find and follow you online, and where do we go for the Parasite kit?
So you can follow me on Mrs. Rogers Hood, MRSROGERSHOOD. On Instagram, it's Mrs. Rogers.Hood, but on all the other platforms, it's Mrs. Rogers Hood. You can also Google me, Kim Rogers, Born Queen, and I'll pop up. I have my own podcast. It's called What's Eating You, and that's with the letter U, we spell it. And you can find that on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. My website is rogershood.com. We strive to answer every comment, every DM, and every email. I have a team that assists me with this. So if you don't get an answer, just give us a minute. I've gone viral over the last couple of months, so we've been really busy. Our wait time right now is around 3 weeks for the kits that we hand make ourselves in our manufacturing facility here in the United States. And yeah, I just really love everything that I'm doing and helping spread this information. You can download all of my free ebooks in my link tree, fast track guide, cookbooks. We also have a parasite identification book. So if you're questioning what you're seeing in the toilet, you're more than welcome to download that and take a look.
Oh my goodness, amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your time. We are truly better off for it. I specifically am much better off for it. I had so many aha moments, and I can't wait to do the parasite cleanse in particular, that detox. Thank you everyone for listening, and Kim will be following you and engaging with your content online very, very soon. Bye everyone.
Bye. Thanks for having me.